When we think of one man ruling the earth, I think probably most of us would have a nervous breakdown. The idea of one man ruling the whole earth. Everything in us says this cannot be good. But that's what I want to talk about, because it is so important to know what Jesus is really like. And I'll be looking at that in the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is a revelation of what he's really like. And it'll be Revelation chapter 5. Okay. Matthew 24 is perhaps the whole, gives a broad overview of the end times, and they're the words of Jesus about it. And of course, in interpreting the scripture, we need to take very careful note of what Jesus is saying. It needs to be the governor when we're interpreting scripture. What Jesus said about it helps us to interpret what others have said about it. And so you go into the book of Revelation, and that whole the whole business of the tribulation and the powers of the heavens being shaken, it's all there in the book of Revelation. One thing I find about the Bible is that it is totally consistent, contrary to the view of many people. I think people look at things on a very superficial level and don't realise that as truth unfolds, things that seem incompatible are actually part of the same thing. I spend a lot of time in Revelation 4 and 5. Revelation 4 is a revelation of the throne of God and the worship that goes on around the throne. This is one who is seated on the throne, is like a jasper and a sardis in appearance. There's an emerald rainbow around the throne. There are myriads of angels. There's a sea of glass. There are 4 living creatures, and so on. It goes into a lot of detail about what is called the beauty realm of God. This is another idea that I would like to just begin to include in the stream of thought about God, is that God is beautiful. And the throne room of God is a place of exceeding great beauty. Everything about God, and even is reflected in his creation, there's beauty in all that he has created. It has been marred, but there was originally a great beauty in the whole thing. Beauty and the glory of God are very similar things. But in chapter 5, we read about the enthronement of Jesus as the Son of God, as the one who has overcome. So I want to read the first few verses of this chapter, because it gives us great understanding of who he is and what motivates him. And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a book written inside and on the back, sealed up with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and to break its seals?" Now, what is this book? And why are we calling for someone who is worthy to open it? This book is actually the battle plan of God to bring evil to an end in this world. And it will be a battle. Anyone who opposes injustice, anyone who opposes sin, finds themselves in a great battle. And God the Father has taken on that battle because he is determined to see justice in every human situation. Now that is a phenomenal thought, that justice in every human situation will be brought about through God's Son. and he needs someone. He needs someone who is worthy to take the scrolls, to take the book, and to unfold that battle plan and bring it about in human history. And that is what we're going to look at about who is worthy. Who is worthy, says a strong angel, shouts a strong angel, to open the book and to break its seals. And I would say that Jesus is the greatest man who ever lived, because he is. But you can think of many great men. You could think of Winston Churchill, Napoleon, and many, many, many others who were considered to be great men in their times, shapers of destiny, shapers of countries and nations. But the cry is going out, who is worthy for this job? And John, who is experiencing this in heaven, begins to weep because no one, not one of these men who we call to mind is worthy in the eyes of God. Why? Because, like all mankind, they are sinners. And there is one. Well, we're given this picture in heaven of the angel crying out and John weeping because he couldn't think of anyone. No one could be found. He says, one of the elders said to me, don't you weep at what's going on in this world, where children can be beheaded because they believe in Jesus, where so many people are afflicted, so many people, look at the migrant issue, so many people in desperation in their lives, so desperate in their own nation they're wanting to get out and come to Europe. For many who make that journey and it works out okay, I'm sure there'll be a vast improvement in life. But who can tell how this situation will end up? Don't you weep over children starving? Don't you weep at the injustices? Don't you weep over leaders of governments who are destroying their own people? Don't you weep? John had good reason to weep, because God's battle plan is to eliminate evil doing from the earth and to establish justice and freedom, healing, deliverance. What is judgment but establishing justice? The elder said, stop weeping. Behold, the Lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has overcome so as to open the book and the 7 seals. Now here we have a strange sequel. And John says, I saw between the throne and with the 4 living creatures and the elders a lamb standing as if slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. He's told that the Lion of the tribe of Judah has overcome, and what he sees is a lamb. I think a lamb is easy meat for a lion. Why do we see this idea or this picture or this image of a lamb? And the lamb has overcome. Now, the lamb is the lion that's overcome, but he's depicted as a lamb at this point, not as a lion. And this is the whole issue of Jesus overcoming sin and allowing himself to be crucified on a cross. And it says in Isaiah, as a lamb, as a sheep, before its shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He didn't open his mouth in railing accusations against the Pharisees at this point. He remained dumb, he remained silent. He submitted to the horrific decision to have him crucified on a cross. And he went willingly and obediently through great suffering, through great pain. And the greatest pain of all was caused by the sin of man. Because the sin of the whole world was placed on Jesus on the cross. He was the sacrificial lamb. Now, in the Jewish system of sacrifice, very often the sacrifice was a lamb. They used a lamb to pay the blood of the lamb, to pay the price of sin. And this was instituted by God. It's not very pleasant, but sin is not pleasant. Anything less cruel would have been inadequate in the face of the sin of mankind. So Jesus was the weakness of God at the point of his crucifixion. And yet at the point of his crucifixion, he overcame the principalities and powers and everything that stood against him, all demonic hosts. He overcame his own desire to live as he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane before the crucifixion. He overcame. He overcame because when he lay in the tomb, God, because he was righteous, because he was sinless, because he was the perfect Son of God, God was able to raise him from the dead. And at that point, he overcame it all. And so the one who overcame it all is a lamb who has been slain. And yet there's this other aspect to his nature, is the lion. And after the cross, after the resurrection, what is released is the lion. The lion takes on all the aspects of God, in that God wants to bring justice to every human situation. Now, in bringing justice, some people will come under judgment because of what they have been doing. This is not a pleasant thought. But as the years have gone on, I've come to a place where I've realized that there are evil men. They're not just men, they are evil men. And that is illustrated so much by the nature of terrorism in our day. That the people perpetrating the things they're perpetrating are evil. And these men, God in his mercy may save them, and may please God in your mercy save them and cause them to turn away from their evil ways. But if they persist in them and keep going in them, there's going to be a point at which God cuts it all off and says, you wanted to go with that, you go with it. And that is the execution of justice. There's an unpleasant side to justice. There is a wonderful and powerful and glorious side to justice as well. But we have to have both sides. Yeah. So we have in Jesus, in his character, all control, domination, manipulation, all those things which characterize so many men in power are not there. Those things do not motivate him. He is truly a beneficent dictator. He is truly, from his heart, seeking the good of all mankind. And that is why he's worthy to be the one who takes the book and has the final say about how things should pan out, how things should work out. And the next few chapters of probably the rest of the book, Revelation, is the unfolding of that battle plan.